Hello, good evening or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the Out of the Box developer. Yeah, we have skipped, I think, the last session, live session. It was a TDC, right? It was a TDC week, so it was quite of rush for everyone at that week. But I hope if you are following us and hearing us, we say all the time that it's good thing to be in person or to participate on those tech events. Always a great place to learn and not just learn new things, but also create connections, network, and find your own group, right? So that's why we had to skip that day. I did create some content at the TDC to share here for you. I already uploaded for a quick interview with Chila, Alexandra Kilis, Gabriel, and also Luis Hell. So, yep, I hope you enjoyed it. And but let me say hello to my guests. No, my guests, my partners. We're gonna have a new partner here, and that would be our guest today. But yes, how about you, Pedro? Let me say hello first for you. How are you doing?
Hey, hello, Hugo, hello, Igor, hello, everybody. Yeah, last time it wasn't everybody was in a rush. It was impossible to join. Yeah, and yeah, everything is fine. I think it is learning programming is a very interesting topic. We have lots of things to discuss. There's some we can choose some discussions like is that easy to learn programming? Can you pass from a beginner to a junior in a small amount of time? You can get like lots of difficult discussions here, and of course there are a lot. We can choo- we can listen for any questions from you, from the audience, that if you wanna talk to us or you can leave a comment here. So in any of the channels you are listening to us, okay? So Hugo, and you said you upload some content. Where did you upload that?
Oh, I have uploaded on YouTube. Let me check here
Which channel?
the link for Out of the Box channel. Let me check.
Oh,
That's the
great.
box.
That's great.
Should be
Here,
there.
so you'll be able to watch it here in the channel.
Yeah. Let me check. While I do get the link here, let me say hello to Igor. Hey, Igor, how are you, man?
Hi, Hugo. Hi, Pedro. How you doing, guys? Yeah, I'm looking forward to see and to hear a little bit from what you brought us from the TDC. I wasn't able to be there at this event. Looking forward to the next ones. And we always sharing about knowledge about your career and programming. And yeah, subject here today is biggest challenge when learning programming. If you're learning a language, of course, some people will say, "Oh, this language is easier to learn than other." Oh, the ones that are more modern or not. But you need to learn the algorithm itself. You need to learn how to create logic, and for each language, you will have how to implement it. On, of course, on some languages will be easier or less verbose, and others will be shortened. But you need to practice learning. How do you practice learning? We will discuss during our sessions here too. And Hugo sent us here some of the content about TDC, right, Hugo?
Yes, exactly. I just shared here the interview we ran during the TDC. It was a quick interview. Chila was uh, you if you watch us, you know Chila. Chila is
Yeah.
help us here as also partner for on this channel, and she came to Brazil to be on TDC with us. So she did a long trip to be present in person there. It was awesome to have Chila. Chila, I hope to have you back as soon as possible. Probably you're still enjoying your vacation. But I want to say I was very happy to have you here to meet you in person, and yeah, and have you visit all around Brazil. She went to Manaus this this time, and then,
Whoa, awesome.
yeah, spent a week there, 2 weeks there, I think, and then came to TDC in São Paulo, and then go back to Switzerland. So it was a long trip, and it was amazing. I hope that she can share her experience with us here too. Um,
Yeah, but she's right because it's a long trip. You need to get this trip to know the places. Same thing
yes,
I
yeah,
would do.
exactly. You're right, right? So, and I just see here my good friend. He just joined us. So let me say hello to Luis Real. Hey, Luis, how are you, man?
Hello, how are you doing?
Great
Hey,
to have you
Liz.
here.
Yeah, my first time here. I'm very glad to be here with you.
That's great, man.
Yeah,
So I just invited you and just joined it here. Do you want to say a bit about your background so everyone can and know a bit more about you?
sure. So I'm a Java developer. I'm working on academic systems, and I'm also a Java teacher at a university. So I work with Java every day, but I love it. I just love to do this kind of stuff, and I'm involved in a lot of events, a lot of uh, I like to write articles about technology and everything about AI. That is the hype today, right?
Cool.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. And so I think you are the perfect person to be join the board today because I proposed the title, the topic, to talk about the challenge when we are learning a programming language or we are learning programming in
yeah,
general, right? And yeah, I just proposed it. Let me share a bit of story. I just proposed it because I have been challenges. I'm going on helping my sister to learn a new programming language, and I thought that okay, I I do make lots of applications, so I can teach my sister. I can grab here some programming language, and I try to teach her Kotlin. But since I just learned Kotlin with Lucas on the video, and I haven't yet explored anything on environment, there's quite troubles with some basics. So okay, let me go to Java that I know the basics and I can I can tell her a lot of feature without having to stop every time to search how to use something, and then but still see some challenges on that on teaching her because there's a lot of other things that I already know, but she haven't yet had experience or had any practical experience on that problem. So things are like that because of this and so on. So yeah, I think, oh, let me remember how was for me to learn programming. I remember that wasn't so easy, but I also wish to bring here and ask you you guys that already experienced it, people that's a long time in the market in the industry, and also I think maybe if this discussion can help people that is starting their programming, their development journey, right? If most of people, I see most of people talking about, or I see a lot of courses that says, "Oh, programming is easy. You can get a job in 6 months and start earning a lot of money." And I think there's some stuff are easier than other, right? And there's there are some mice behind this marketing. So yeah, if you are having challenges, you're struggling, as Pedro said. If you had any experience that you would like to share here, it's a great place because we're gonna be happy if we can help any of you guys that has had any difficult time, or if you just want to share some challenges that you had. I think that will help also others that is kind of in the same in a similar scenario. So yeah, let me just ask here for any of you guys, what was the biggest challenges that you had while you are starting to learn programming? What have been difficult for you?
Yeah, well, we need to put the things in timeline, because when we started, things were very different from they are today. When I started, I was with the detail book, 700 pages, and you just go around and compile things on Java by hand. And the most advanced idea was Eclipse. That's today's it's useless. I don't know. Some people use it for learning, but hardly they continue with this unless if they really need a plugin, for continue using that ID. For Java Word, of course, there are other IDs Pedro can mention on Python too, but things have evolved a lot, and we had all those online tests, online academic that you can use, like HackerRank, LeetCode. Lots of companies use that for hiring purpose too. But you can practice and learn a lot from these tests as well. And nowadays you have AI, right? You have the AI stuff, and that's tricky because AI can help you, but it can also mess with your learning. Let me see if it focus. No, now it's focused. Because if you're depending on AI for everything, even for small things, you're not learning anything. You're just putting it all on the AI. So learning on how to do even the basics, the smaller things, doing by yourself is the same learning that we had in the past, on not depending on a calculator for doing any calculation. Yeah, being able to do that by head and by paper. And in the rush, yes, you can use a calculator. Same applies here on programming. There are too many people, especially on the beginners. Probably Luis can tell us from what he sees in the classroom, that are so crazy trying to learn every new framework and getting the marketing as soon as possible, that he's looking on how to learn the advanced stuff from Spring, but he didn't learn inheritance and polymorphism, for example. That's my point. You need to, the basics is something that needs to be worked and reviewed from times. It's like going to the gym. If you don't practice, you lose strength. That's my point, guys. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think it's exactly the point. Like my class is about Spring, and my first class is always about remembering OOP and the basic stuff for all the students to start with me in the same page. So, okay, we remember the basics now. Here's the Spring, what is the Spring, and what you can do with Spring, something like that. Because for me, it's the same. I started programming, I think, 20 years ago, and we, like Igor said, we hadn't have a lot of tools, a lot of great tools. So it was maybe the notepad, and we did everything like roots, and we learned from it. And now everyone is using ChatGPT and Gemini, something like that. All these AI tools, and they are great. But you need to know the basics. You need to learn the foundations to use the tools for the good, I think. I have a lot of friends that never programmed, people from other areas, other fields, and with the AI, they came to me. They usually come to me and asking about programming, like, hey, I want to work with big data, with data analysis, and everything about that, and I need to learn Python, or I need to learn R. Do you think it's easy? And I say, I don't know. For you, maybe it's not. And so I think that the biggest problem to learn programming is know how to begin, how to start learning. And usually people from another area, they try to learn, and when they face the reality that they need to understand logics, they need to understand problem solving, and a lot of stuff. Before you start to program, they usually start to fear programming languages. So maybe you need to think the best way to start learning, and for that to maybe it's better if you know your goals first. That's the path I want to take for get to that place, and then you can go without problem. For me, I think it's that.
Yeah, you need to
Yeah,
know what you want to solve
yeah,
before starting to solve it. Yeah, totally.
And yeah, at that point, I think, what I tried when I teach learning is to, I teach programming is to, okay, I know that you don't have all the backgrounds like object-oriented programming, or all the structures, all the data structures. But let me show you what you can do with it. And I try to show for the results first, and then try to go over these abstractions, right? These concepts. But I felt like I failed miserably because nothing made sense for for her while you try to get into the results. But I remember when I was learning, I got first the concepts and then the challenges, and the concepts nothing made make sense for me because why, what the hell, object oriented, why I have to learn it. So after having to implement some stuff, and I see the structures, the okay, here we do organizing, so it keeps things encapsulated and so on. So that's why we do learn these concepts that can keep codes organized and working correctly and so on. So I thought that this way was too slow to learn. So I tried to revert the order, and I think I still failing miserably. So I don't know. I think learning is difficult anyway. That's not easy Pep. I don't know if Pedro is laughing. So I don't know, Pedro. You Pedro, you also have a channel that you created content, right, to help people learn things. Well, how did you target that?
Yeah. Well, every time we talk about like learning from for a beginner, when we talk about a beginner, and we are talking about if someone has no basis on algorithm or problem solving, or the pretty basic on data structure. Pretty basic, I can say. Not near the advanced stuff. Like pretty basic, like variables and vectors. The minimal. And when we think about that, every time people start learning programming, I know that these people need to learn these very basics, because there is no language, no programming language works without this. Every programming language needs this to a certain point, right? If we talk about Python and R, people say, "Oh, Python and R are easier than Java or whatever," right? Or JavaScript. Oh, JavaScript is easy, blah, blah, right? What they're talking about? For Python, even for Python, you need to have basics, algorithm, problem solving, and then you're gonna learn like how to write Python code using basic algorithms, problem solving, and structured program. You can do that in JavaScript as well, right? And you don't need to compile. You don't need all this static typing stuff. So people feels it's easier. Feels it's not exactly easy because of that. Because when you pass this very beginning, you start needing this stuff that you're missing. The language doesn't and then we start getting the problem of the language that is not static typed, right? It's very good to not have a language that is not static typed in the beginning, because you don't need to think about that, right? For beginners, it's very good to not thinking about that, because there is a lot of other things you need to think in the beginning. I remember when I was giving classes to Java. I don't know if you know, but I've been a Java teacher instructor like since 2010 at least, and actually before that. But well, I was instructor in the Java academy from Global Code, and I have a plan of classes with groups of people that every time people sell that course, they say, you are someone who knows another language, or you have inexperience with another language. What are we saying here? We are not teaching you algorithms, data structure. We are not teaching you here. We are teaching Java. And then Java, after all these difficulties, we have OOP. OOP is the next level for the beginners. Because OOP is really hard. That's what Luis is saying. When people start looking at the reality, it's I don't know how the course the course sellers from the 2 years from 3 to 4 years ago, they will say, "Oh, learning programming, you can learn a program, you can start being programming in less than 6 months from the zero, and you can get like 5k reais." Yeah, you know. But when people get to the reality, people see that no, man, programming is not easy. You need to follow some organized stuff. Yeah,
Learning path.
yeah. Need to have a learning path.
And we are not even talking about functional programming. That will be next. It's a completely nightmare after. It's a never ending learning path, guys. If you choose this path, you need to be able to learn every single day new stuff, a new programming paradigm, a new framework, a new project when you switch customers. It's a never ending learning.
I want to drop here a question for people that is watching us. If you are, what is the biggest challenge that you had now in the past when you are trying to learn uh, programming in general, right? Not just specifically language algorithms and any other things. Maybe during the classes or during your jobs. I think it's interesting to hear a bit about your experience as well. But yeah, one thing that Igor mentioned regarding to AI, and that's a point I also want to explore a bit, uh, because okay, on my when I was learning. There was not much options. It was to follow the traditional learning path. You learn the basics and then go over the stuff. But I see a lot of tools that can, like Pedro says, it is abstracting lots of complexities, so you can see earlier the results, and then you can feel it is easy or it's easier to connect what you're doing with the final results. Does it change it a bit for these days? Better way to learn with these new tools. I don't know, Luis, if you have seen something new in the classes since you are teaching there. Yep, because I've been trying to give some yeah, give some lessons to my sister, and still find challenging to. Okay, I thought that it was easier to to teach nowadays with a lot of resources, but still challenging to give some of these uh, some of concepts like object oriented program. That is, for me, it is abstract. It is not so. It's not something that concrete, right? That we, okay, you see, this is why you do that.
Well, about using AI tools to help you learning programming. One thing that I like to do myself is using AI to consult documentation, because I don't like to read all the documentations. I like to interact with the documentation. So I like to speak with the GPT, for instance, as I'm speaking with the documentation. So I make questions instead of using indexes to get to the point where I'm looking for. I just ask the ChatGPT. So for this, the AI is awesome. But other things like code generation, I think it's still not the best. But if you ask for the right questions, they usually generate good code. And other thing that I wanted to say is that project-based learning is the best for people that's starting to learn programming now. So when you're trying to learn OOP, for instance, you can do little projects, putting into practice all of that that you are learning. So you can see that all those concepts in real projects. That concepts working is the best.
Yeah, it's rewarding, right? Because you're learning something and then you apply and you see that working. It generates dopamine and I've achieved, I've learned something with that. Then you move to the next lesson. You can bang your head, and probably you will bang your head a lot on learning or something, because learning is not easy. And if it's too easy, it means that you're on a you need to learn something more advanced until it's not easy. And then you apply it and then you celebrate when that works. And that's how you learn. That's how I did back then. Started with a book, used those tasks on HackerHank, LeetCode, applied all of those on projects. And even with AI, you mentioned AI, when you use for searching documentations of very well documented projects like Spring, like Quarkus, that's awesome. But when there are some stuff that the information is not so public, it can help with something if you provide information, if you provide a piece of the documentation, it will try to help you to understand it better. Not very precisely, but it's better than nothing. So it's always a help. And for coding generation, you just mentioned, for testing it works fine, for helping you generating static stuff, and even stub codes from where you can change it. It's always a partner. It's like I've seen some of these agents. It says it's your pair programming AI partner. It helps if you already know the basics. If you're learning Spring, for instance, like you just you teach Spring, if you already know the basics, that's great. If you don't know the basics, it will start doing stuff that you have no idea what it is. But let's suppose I want to learn Quarkus. I'm a Spring developer. That's a truth. It's great. It will help me to figure out the nuances and the difference between Quarkus and Spring. How do I do this that I do in Spring and Quarkus? And you can apply it. So it's a tool that we didn't had in the past, and you guys now have all of you that are learning. We are all learning every time. Me myself in the projects that I'm working currently, I'm using Apache Camel. I've worked with that 9 years ago, but my current customer uses it today. So I need to relearn how to use that, bring out that stuff again, work with a lot of soap, very modern soap, as you all know. Pedro is crying right now because all banks use that crap. So you don't need to use that, and that's it. We're always learning, even if it's something very new or even if something from very old. But you will always need to learn.
Yeah, I like to add something. You said something really interesting, because uh, using AI is very good. Very good. Using AI is very good. The problem is to understand that AI is not infallible. When you understand that, it, we can understand we can easily understand that senior developers get more from AI than intermediates or juniors. It's a truth. There is some I've seen some studies about it, and the statistics, people showing that seniors feels that much more than intermediates and juniors. But it's easy to understand why, because seniors can understand where the AI is helping them and where it's not helping, and doesn't stuck, because if you follow blindly, the AI can get you stuck and you don't know where to go, right? I've seen that a lot, sometimes now. And of course, when you think about that, it's easy to learn something new if you already know something similar using AI, right? So, what I suggest for the beginners, for example, right? People that are very new, the easiest way to learn is to get a teacher, someone that can actually help you to get to the basis, right? It's like physics. They to pass the inertia, to pass the very first moment, you need to pull harder. After the inertia starts rolling, you can continue like more in an easier way, right? So that's the same idea. Of course, sometimes you can't have a teacher, or sometimes the teacher you have is only like videos. So that's why many of us has video courses, right? That you can follow some learning path that someone created. Is important, of course, someone that you feel that is more that you have confidence on, right? There are lots of good content outside in the internet. We know people here. We know Professor Zito. We know Professor Guanabara. We know Loyan. We know many people that we know that have good learning paths, because they have people who have went through these learning paths and get there, right?
That's
So
success,
this,
right?
yeah, that's beginning is very important. When you pass that, all these resources start getting much better for you, much better. Then you get an AI or use ChatGPT, or even we can give ChatGPT some PDF of the documentation, right? Or not ChatGPT, but I think Bing can read PDFs. I don't know. I think ChatGPT Plus can read PDFs,
Yeah.
and then you can talk to the documentation. So yeah, after that, all these AIs can help. But of course, and there are another thing that I like to do is to use there are some the idea of similarities, right? So you can create a project that is similar to something that you already created in another language, and then you can start using mappings to learn. For example, I used that when I was learning Python like 2 years ago, 3 years ago now, and I was hired to work in a Python environment and as a Java developer. And they said to me, "Oh, you're gonna learn." Of course, I knew that I'm gonna learn, but how long it would take, right? And of course, they're paying me. I need to
Mhm.
get there,
Expense.
right? And how fast can I do that? Yeah, what I did was exactly creating this mapping. Okay, I had to understand how would do this in Python. Let's see how it is in Java. Okay, this is the differences and similarities. I studied, for example, SQL Alchemy in Python. That's pretty similar to JPA in Java. Not exactly so similar. I was using Flask in Python. That's pretty similar to Spring MVC, but not that similar. There's some difference. That was the thing that I had to learn. Get the similarities and understand the differences. So this is what I did at the time, and that's what most of the developers do when they need to work in different frameworks during their
Different
lives.
in different environment languages, right? Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh, Let me just drop another question to the audience. I just want to know what is your level of experience here, because we are talking about learning, but maybe change a lot depending on your level of experience. Are you a beginner? Are you already um, me, intermediate, or already advanced, more than 5 years of experience in programming? Yeah, and why we do that? Why you do reply here? Uh, yeah, I think this tools is really useful, but I agree with you that on the beginning is, if you don't have any instructions, maybe it can be it can have an opposite effect, right? It, it can make you more lost than learning faster. But I'm still thinking, uh, we do still have to go through the same path as always. Nothing changes. We got to learn it. It is any new ways to teach programming, or not programming, but this idea of solving problems for people. Nothing changed since
Neuralink is creating this
yeah.
USB port. Neuralink is creating this USB port you can plug in your brain, and then
Yeah,
just
Elon
kidding,
Musk is trying it.
Elon Musk.
He's
just
trying
kidding.
it.
Neuralink.
Yeah. Wow. I truly believe that the middle is a great place to be. Not having it all generated for you, especially for a beginner, but not learning how you did in the 90s with a book. So I really like that approach that use. I will put an example. Hacker Hank is awesome for any level. Any level. If you know nothing on programming, you have lessons that talks to you about algorithms from the very beginning, and will teach you hello world and even get you into advanced content while you walk through these paths, right? These tracks, they have their own tracks. Of course, you do have national teachers like Pedro Mencho, Professor Isidro, even Luis here teaches in person at university. So you do have a lot of paths that you can follow. But for any of you, we don't know from where you are, from where you right now. You can look into these. This is what I think. I think the middle, not having it all generated and not on the past. I do use a lot of video courses as well, Pedro. You mentioned, did not used for these very beginnings on algorithms, but for frameworks I did use a lot. For Spring, a lot, because you do have content, you have theoretical content, and you have the practical part of the video course that you have to apply. And the more the interactive the course is, that you have to answer quizzes, you have to paste a piece of codes and tests, the better. Because if you're just watching, probably you will not put in practice. There are lots of students that procrastinate the task. No, I will do it later. If you left that to be done later, you are not putting in practice what you do really just saw it, and you will eventually forget. You're on chapter 1, you're moving to chapter 2 without applying chapter 1. Sorry, you will completely forget what you saw on chapter 1. You need to put it in practice. The best thing you can do for learning is practicing and repeating it and reviewing it. If and you have your project with the content you just learned, you can review it if you need it. I did it many times during my career, stuff that I've learned on courses, especially online courses, and I needed to apply those professionally on my customers. How do I do that? I remember I did that somewhere. Let me look on my projects here, and then you have the reference. And sometimes that's not even found easily on Google. And if you want, like most of us does here, you can share. You share. Yeah, I'm learning something. I will share it. I will write something about Camel because eventually I'm relearning that, but that's not a very up to date technology. So I don't know if it will be much more people interested in learning it, but that's something that will be available on the internet for the latest versions. That it's different from 10 years ago. And if someone else wants or needs some knowledge about that, he can find on my blog on igorfragadev.com. You see under my face here. It's not written yet, but I'm going to write more because I'm kind of busy with a book about REST mastering, REST services. I've mentioned with some of you guys. It's a little more up to date content, of course, but on my blog I will write and talk a little about a lot of stuff. Coming back to the learning subject here, that's it, guys. And if you're learning from the beginning, or even if you are advanced, you have a lot of tools to help you out. Pedro mentioned something that I totally agree. If you're a senior, you get a lot of more benefits from AI instead of you're just on the very beginning.
I totally agree with you about sharing, because one thing that I really like about being a professor is that I learn a lot to teach my students. So I have to learn in deep that subject so I can teach them. So I really like that. And again, the project-based learning that you said, like for me, I really like to learn from articles, from videos, from books, but for me to really learn, I have to put it in practice. So I think it's not all about the teaching, Hugo. It's more about the learning, and it's personal. Everyone learns differently.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned about the classes. The more you share, the more you learn.
Cool,
Yeah,
cool.
it's completely true. Completely true. When you write something, when you prepare something, like thinking about the other, let's say, I wanna share something. When you start thinking about sharing, you need to think about how the other people gonna receive that. And when you think about that, there's different paths that you create in your brain. Oh, I need, if I write this differently, it will be well understood, and then you understand better. I can say that I learned Java. I the most that the best that I learned in my career was when I was teaching. And this is I can say that I don't forget all that words that are written to teach.
Mm,
I can't forget anymore. So yeah, for sure that people, I can say that the classes that I listen, I forget always.
Yeah, but the one is you recorded, you remember every single word.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
it.
point. Yeah.
That's it.
I just want to say hello to Clayton Franco. Said olha aí. And Anonymous shared here. He's an Android developer and AI machine learning enthusiast. I don't know if you had challenges to learn those AI and machine learning stuffs. So if you had any challenges, you can share with us. But just adding comments here. yeah, that's true. Maybe focus more on teaching. Oh, I see also Miguel Jr. Hey, Miguel, good to have you here. Um, well, I understand, and maybe it is my I need more experience to teach people. I run some workshops for people that's already developer, and those workshops are pretty easy because they already usually have people that join usually already have the background, so you don't need to go so basics. But as more new or on the development field or have nothing no experience, more challenging. I think it's the same exercise like the Richard Feynman explained to 5 years old, right? It is the biggest challenge to teach for someone that is 5 years old some complex topic than someone that is closer to your day to day, right? It's difficult to get into their to empathize or to be in the same foot and understand what they don't learn, to try to give some try to explain some concepts. I
Yeah.
think I just remember that one time that I gave a talk. It was for high schoolers, and it was the most challenging place to give a talk that I had in my life. I never forget. Yeah, go ahead, Igor. You are trying to add something.
Yeah, I was going to mention, since you're trying to teach to your sister, you have to be aware that that's something that it's on your word in your word for a very long time, but probably for her it's a completely new and different word that she didn't is aware of. There is also the individuality. Oh my, the individuality from her, to see how she deals with this subject. There are people that tend more for logic and mathematics and got it more easily, and there are people who are more for other areas, more visual. So there's also these challenges of individualities, and how new is this word for her? Probably it's a very new word, I believe, from what you've mentioned. So we have spoken here a lot of different ways of learning and teaching, but it depends on the age, on the stage, and on the way of on the step of the career that each person is. So something to consider too.
Great. Yeah, I agree with you. And yep, I think so. Wrapping up, I think still challenging to learn, to teach and learn.
Of course.
Programming, I think so. Those short courses that will give you the job and stuff like that, just to enter into the development market field. Yeah, unless you have some how can I say fit with the programming at all. Because there are people that learn faster than others on these topics because they have it, the drivers on their head, but not for most of people, right? So don't get frustrated, but it's totally learnable. I myself can say that when I joined computer science courses, I did barely something on Flash, and I prefer to draw things on Flash than programming stuff on Action Script. So I had nothing on programming background, and yeah, I end up learning and start working, and I learned more, especially when I started to work because of this project that Luis and Pedro mentioned. Right, when you start with projects, it is the easiest way to learn things. So yeah, don't worry so much if you really want to join into the development market. If you like to have some how can I say you liked programming at all, you'll be you will overcome these challenges. And Pedro, Luis, Igor, any last words you would like to share here?
Yeah, it was very interesting subject, a very real good conversation here, and you need to look at this. You're learning, but you're also taking care of your career. So try to do something that it's the most enjoyable as possible. Doing this
Enjoy.
learning path something pleasant and celebrate each step that you learn. It maybe this can looks very small compared to someone that's already 10 20 years, but don't compare yourself with someone that's in the road for a very long time. Compare yourself with who you were yesterday. If you learn something new today, you're a better programmer, a better professional than you were yesterday. Keep learning. Is this something that you like? Something that you're good? Are you enjoying it? Keep moving forward. There are plenty of work and jobs in all of the world. And if you're understanding what we are saying here, you know English, you're a step ahead for your international career to work and live anywhere you want. Subject of our next section. And moving forward, learning technology, you will eventually find your spot better. And if you're advanced senior, there are always content to learn to advance. You already know that because you've been in multiple projects and multiple companies, the same as I do. It's a never ending path. Great subject, guys. Really enjoy it.
Well,
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, okay. So I would say try to find the approach that suits you better. Like I was saying, if you're not learning from books, try videos. If you're not learning from videos, try books. And you need to find the best tools for you, because learning is personal. That's it.
Yeah, that completely agree. Learning is totally personal, and there are today we have plenty of resources. So what we don't have is time. So when if you start learning, try to put all your fingers on that. Don't like just see the video. Oh, because I don't have time to put in practice. You need to put in practice if you really want to learn. So when when you get to when you put this object in mind, you need to allocate some time for that. Allocate time. It's half an hour a day, or it's 15 minutes a day. Okay, it's 15 minutes a day that I will stop looking at the cell phone. I will stop doing anything else, and I will do what is best for me to learn. It's seeing videos, it's reading books, but for programming, you need to write code. You need to go and do it, and get to the exercise, not only the examples. The exercise, when you get, I remember when my student, it was like the very, very first exercises, declaration of variables. when you look at the code in the screen, everybody knew how to do it. But when I say declare a string variable with a value hello, people got lost. It's really interesting to see how it's different what we're seeing to when we are trying executing. So if you want to learn, focus your time, use the best path you want, but exercise, go and do it.
Perfect. Great. So,
Consistency, right?
yeah, consistency.
Consistency. Yeah, this is very important. Well, today I got a 1 year Duolingo.
Wow. Oh, really?
You know?
Straight?
Yeah.
I want to know. Let's see this consistency during the year, Pedro?
This is different, right? I see people that with much higher XP than me. That it means they get much more. A number of lessons is finished in Duolingo than me. But what I'm trying to do in Duolingo is not stopping. So if I say to me, I'm not stop, at least one lesson I will train every day.
Every day.
I say I cannot learn more than 5 minutes a day. No problem. Use 5 minutes. Use just one lesson, and that's it. No. We always talk about 5 minutes a day during our mentorship with Bruno, and Duolingo does this very well. And if you want to do the same for
Programming,
it's the same. But as Duolingo does, he goes and train. You need to write, you need to listen, you need to talk. Programming is the same. Programming is a language.
Yes, exactly. I just want to add a phrase to what Pedro just mentioned here. Is this discipline will take you to places where only motivation will not. So keep the discipline and moving forward.
Great. Yeah, there was lots of great quotes today with the begun to learning and consistency. So yeah, I loved it. So just want to say thanks for everyone who joined us here. So thanks Pedro, thanks Igor. Welcome Luis. Thanks for being here with us, and I hope to see you on the next sessions as well. And for everyone that was watching us, so hope you enjoyed the session and see you on the next. See you. Bye bye.
Take care. See ya.
See you. Thank you.